Right. Welcome to First Sports coverage here of the Champions Trophy. It's Champions of Cricket, and today we're setting up the last hurdle, the final frontier in many ways. It's the big final between India and New Zealand. And of course, another toss that Rohit Sharma lost. But this one, I reckon he'd be happy to have lost because quite a difficult one this would be. A pitch. So what we're hearing is that the pitch is the similar one that India played Pakistan on. And if you remember how that went, it did slow down. And though it was quite a good wicket to bat on, it would skid initially. And there is something on offer for the bowlers, and the batters can also get their eye in, set in well, and then go for a good total, which they can then look to defend. So Rohit Sharma would not be that unhappy that he lost this toss. It's a difficult one, this, but what Mitchell Santner, the captain for New Zealand, has done is they've won the toss and they've opted to bat first. Look, there are two ways of seeing this. An ICC final, any ICC final, you always want to be the team that's fielding last. You don't want to be the team that's chasing. But cricket has evolved. Things have changed over the years. The concept of cricket, the concept of pressure itself has evolved over time. So I think a lot of these notions of pressure being on the batting side the most in a final. Yes, there is evidence to support that theory, I think these cricketers here, and you're seeing them, and we're kind of watching them getting ready for the big contest. They've played so much of cricket. They've played every format, whether it's the longest format in tests, and they've gone up against each other in all three formats. And this is one side, so weirdly, that India has always had a good record over otherwise, but when it comes to ICC knockouts, has been quite a misfortune for the Indian setup when they've taken on when they've taken on a team like New Zealand. Again, New Zealand, quiet performers. They know what it's like. We're seeing the team huddle here. Surprisingly, Hardik Pandya giving some words here, final thoughts before they take the field, because it's going to be India bowling first, India fielding first in this ICC Champions Trophy. And a look at the New Zealand squad that's coming in, it's going to be a bit of a change for them. Unfortunate that they couldn't have the services of Matt Henry in this big final. So they have Nathan Smith, who's coming in as replacement, but the rest of the team picks itself, of course, and we've seen them perform through this tournament. The one other side that has been just as confident, though they did have those blips, and the only one, of course, coming against India in that group stage, it's been the most confident, strong team in this ICC Champions Trophy has been New Zealand. Mitchell Santner has been a very quiet and a solid leader, but he's got the services of some of the most experienced players in his ranks. Someone like Kane Williamson, who looks like he's peaked at just the right time for this particular tournament. At this particular tournament, a big final. That's what star players really look to thrive on. Someone like Kane Williamson, who's been around the globe, who's been around cricketing hubs, who's been around cricketing grounds for so long. His quiet presence there, he knows what it's like to be a senior hand under pressure situations, whether it's franchise cricket, whether it's the national side, whether it's as captain, or in this case, as someone who's going to be a leader within the ranks, but not necessarily in the captaincy shoes. So a big moment for such players. And then, of course, there are the youngsters, guys like Varun Chakravarti, who's just come into the side and has made a difference, has made the impact immediately. His guile, his calm presence in that Indian bowling lineup is what's really made a bit of a difference there. In fact, the key performance for him came against New Zealand, where he took that five for. What a performance that was. In fact, that really turned the match around and tilted the entire momentum into India's favor for them to claw back in and register that win to decide that they would play Australia for a spot in that final. Things really took its own course, and Varun Chakravarti played a very critical role in doing so. So a big moment here for all players, for the seniors, many of whom this could be a final hurrah. There's so much talk of guys like Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli possibly appearing in one of their last ODI ICC tournaments. a lot of talk of would this be it for them? What if India doesn't cross the line? Then what would that affect their decision? And if they do, then what would they then think of future course of action? Because this has been a tough last 1 year for these two stalwarts. Yes, BCCI has stood by them, the board has stood by them, the country has stood by them, their teammates, everyone rallying around these two, despite what has been um, a mixed bag of the 2024. They saw the highs of the T20 World Cup when they clinched that tournament together. In fact, just their second ICC win together, it has been for Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, who are also part of the Champions Trophy win under the leadership of MS Dhoni back many years ago, more than 10 years before 2013. So, quite a special journey it's been for both these stalwarts. They've really defined the landscape of the Indian cricketing history over the last decade. So, quite an emotional moment this would be in many ways for Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma. So, from those highs, then of course, as the months progressed and Test cricket took over, that series against Australia, again, a very defining moment for Indian cricket and for these two gentlemen who had to have their fair share of struggles and really came out without being too bogged down, without really getting dented in the process of all that happened, the turmoil that ensued in those last 6 months. So a moment like this is what you live for. And an ICC final is what you want to be a part of, to try and undo any unpleasantry or any unpleasantness that might have happened over the last 6 months. And when you're speaking of seniors and when you're speaking of a comeback story, how can you not talk about Mohammed Shami? What a comeback it's been for someone like him who's had to be away from the game for a year. It's a hard life being a pacer, being a fast bowler in today's world, when there's so much of cricket and there's non-stop cricketing action that's packing your entire calendar, more so if you're part of an Indian contingent that plays far more cricket than a lot of the other competitors in the current cricketing FTP. So for Mohammad Shami to really have that setback and not be a part of international cricket for more than a year, undergo rehabilitation and then make his comeback here in the Champions Trophy, quite an incredible journey it's been for him too, and to really step up there in the absence of India's pace spearhead Jasprit Bumrah. A lot of responsibility on someone like Mohammad Shami. So it's been, in some sense, a very, very trying and emotional journey for many such players who've been part of this setup. And then, of course, when you look at the other side and the opposite side, one of whom was going to get a chance to possibly face Mohammad Shami on the day-to-day, someone like Rachin Ravindra. What a journey it's been for him in international cricket. Made a mark at the ODI World Cup on the biggest stage in India in front of packed stadiums, and then went on to be a part of one of the most successful franchises in Indian Premier League, the Chennai Super Kings, and now on the cusp of a very, very momentous occasion for them too. I mean, it's been quite the journey, not having been able to even go and reach the final at the T20 World Cup, to now make a strong comeback in the very next ICC tournament. They rejigged the way the hierarchy would function. You've got someone like a young leader like Mitchell Santner stepping up, and then that's what this does, doesn't it? You look at these players and for whom this moment could be more than just a final. It's a win here, a good knock, a good performance here to help your team get across the line could really be a life-changing, career-changing moment for so many of these youngsters like Rachin Ravindran. But yes, he was troubled by Mohammad Shami at the ODI World Cup in 2023. So for him to really have a say or have an impact in this match, he will have to negotiate and navigate the expertise and the guile and the pace that comes off Mohammad Shami. So that's going to be also an interesting battle. These little mini battles that you always get to watch is going to be very, very critical on the day. Who gets on top of which player and who wins which of these mini battles is probably going to be key, because a final such as this one, an ICC final, it's always about winning those key moments, those small little moments. And New Zealand over time has really learned to try and overhaul or take matches deep, something that Australia has always specialized in. Even in that semi-final against India, the Australian team were in it right till the end, right till those dying moments when they were trying to make things happen. They were trying to stop it, and they did get successful a couple of times, especially when they managed to dismiss someone like Virat Kohli. So you try to get under their skin, and that's what a team like Australia is capable of doing. A team like New Zealand always traditionally depended on their fielding, how they rally around each other, even in certain moments when they're not really when they're behind the eight ball. And that aspect, that concept has also evolved for a team like New Zealand, especially with certain leaders permeating and bringing that their charisma and their thinking across the entire ranks. For New Zealand also now, the tenacity that they have had as a cricketing nation has also taken shape over the last decade, thanks to a lot of these players who proved to be leaders like Kane Williamson, and now someone like Mitch Santner, the perfect sort of mix of someone who's slightly getting a little mature in this scenario in international cricket, mixed with that exuberance that he always has. And quite a historic moment this is, as you can see a lot of the fans, what I am seeing, fans packed at the Dubai Stadium here with the Indian cricket team just getting ready to get together and get that picture clicked, because it's one of those very important moments. And who knows, it could be one of those last matches for some. Things change. You always talk about ICC events and ICC tournaments really marking a transition phase for a cricketing side, for a cricketing nation. And this ICC Champions Trophy promises to be one of those where it's going to mark an important chapter in both these teams, whether it is the Indian team or the New Zealand team. A lot of mini stories that could really transform tonight. So do keep tuned in to Firstpost here, because we're going to get you a very exciting coverage right after the match concludes tonight. So do stay tuned to get in all the action, reactions, and a lot of thoughts and perceptions that we would present to you at the end of the day's play today. You are, of course, watching our special coverage, Champions of Cricket, here on Firstpost. And of course, I, Rupha Ramani, will be joining you again at the end of the night. Do stay tuned then. And of course, you can also send in your questions. If you do follow us on Twitter, do send in your questions and thoughts on this particular match. You can even do that as you comment on this particular clip. I'll see you again tonight at the end of the match.